Good morning, everyone. It's 11:31, so we'll go ahead and get started with our webinar this morning. Just a few things, housekeeping items before we jump in. You probably have noticed that your camera and microphone is turned off. That's just to help with connection issues, but also so we can get through the content we need to get through today. You can type any questions that you have throughout the presentation in the chat, and we'll go through those questions at the end of the presentation. And again, today we're going to go over the annual activity report for scrap tire transporters, facilities, and storage sites. So we have Melissa here as our presenter today, and Melissa Harrison is the work leader for the scrap tire program, and she interned with the TCEQ in the summer of 2019 and did a great job helping us on a really big project concerning the generators in our database. And then Melissa joined our team full-time in May of 2020 and has been a work leader since last year. So Melissa has extensive knowledge of the scrap tire rules and is responsible for reviewing scrap tire applications, and she also coordinates the annual report each year. So she's a great resource and will walk you through how to fill out your annual report correctly and submit it to the TCEQ. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and Melissa, you can take it away.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, so thanks for the introduction, Megan. I am Melissa with the TCEQ Scrap Tire Program, and we're going to go over how to complete your annual activity report and how to keep some good records to make it really easy on you to submit it, complete it and submit it when the time comes in March each year. So we'll start with just a little bit of background information. Transporters, scrap tire facilities, and scrap tire storage sites are required to submit their annual activity report by rule. Scrap tire generators and land reclamation projects using tires, aka LRPUTs, are not required to submit an annual activity report, but we do appreciate any data that we receive from them. So transporters are going to report the location and the number of tires that they collected and then where they ended up taking those tires to. Scrap tire facilities and storage sites will report the number and type of tires they received, any tires that they processed, and then where those tires ended up as well. It's really important to submit the annual activity report for a few reasons. First, helps us, the state, identify any needs or potential resources that we can provide. And then also it helps industry leaders determine if their ideas and concepts and applications for scrap tires are viable and in what areas of Texas they should be pouring their resources into. So if you want industry leaders and market developers to keep your area in mind, it's really important that you submit your data so that they have it available to them. And like we saw on the last slide, it's required by rule for some registrations. We have some frequently asked questions about the annual activity report. First is, do I need to submit a report if I didn't conduct any scrap tire businesses or any scrap tire business in this last year? And the answer is yes. I'll show you there's a little box you can check that says you were inactive. That just lets us know that you didn't conduct any scrap tire activities, but you're still fulfilling the rule requirement of submitting the report. Next we have, can I submit a spreadsheet with my scrap tire activities instead of filling in the tables on the report form? And we say, yes, you can submit a spreadsheet of supplemental information, but we ask that you also complete the column totals row. It's the last row on all of the tables on the report form, and just make sure that the totals on the report also match the totals that are in your spreadsheet. And how do I submit it? And the easiest way is to email it to us at TireRPTS for tire reports at tceq.texas.gov, or you can mail it to us. There's an address provided at the top of the form. And I'm going to talk about the scrap tire manifest because it's essential for keeping good records in addition to being required by rule. So the scrap tire manifest is a cradle to grave tracking system. It tracks scrap tires from the time they're generated to when they're finally disposed of or until they reach their end-use facility. And you must keep copies for 3 years. So generators, transporters, and authorized end-use facilities are responsible for completing and keeping a copy of that scrap tire manifest on site. And if you keep good manifests, it will help you keep good records throughout the year, which will help you submit your annual or submit an accurate annual activity report in March 1st. So we just recently created a mock manifest to help. We have gotten some feedback that the manifest is a bit confusing or that people wanted an example so that they know exactly how it's supposed to be filled out. So that's what this is. If you'd like a copy, just let us know, we'll send it to you. And then also keep an eye out. We're going to send out a scrap tire manifest guidance document that the TCEQ Small Business and Local Government Assistance Program is developing. So we'll send that on our listserv. So there's more guidance for the manifest coming, but we have this for now. And the main thing is that each part is filled out by each entity. So the generator will fill out their information, transporter their information, processor their information, and storage or disposal facility or end-use facility will fill out their information. So everything you need to complete your report is right here on the manifest. Another important thing I wanted to point out are the instructions at the very bottom of the manifest. You can take the template for the manifest to any printer copy shop and just tell them that you need copies made according to the instructions on the bottom, and they'll know exactly what they need to do. So like I said, let us know if you'd like a copy of this mock manifest. We'll send it over to you. And I also wanted to show you where you can find the template in case you're not aware. It is on our website. So you can this page navigating to the scrap tire webpage from the main TCEQ webpage, or you can just type in TCEQ scrap tire program to Google and our website is going to be the first link that comes up. We have a navigation pane over here on the left, and scrap tire manifest is the last link there. So if you click that and then scroll about a quarter of the way down, you'll find the link for the template. So you can print this template or take it on a flash drive to your print and copy shop and have those copies made according to the instructions on the bottom here. Some questions that we get about manifest is, where can I get a copy? I just showed you on our website. If you do have trouble finding it, please let us know and I will send you a copy in an email. And another question we get a lot is about the color coding. If you're not able to find carbon copies that are exactly what's prescribed at the bottom of the form or the bottom of the template, you can use a different color scheme. Just be sure to specify which color is for which registered entity on the manifest. So just give us a key if you use a different color scheme. And last question, my business closed. Do I need to maintain copies of the manifest for 3 years? And the answer is yes, you must still maintain the copies of the manifest, even if your business has closed. So I'll talk a little bit about record keeping for easy reporting. Before we do, I want to talk about acceptable destination codes. So destination codes are these acronyms for the types of destinations that you can put on your form. So you want to use these codes only and use them when you're keeping records so that when it comes time to filling it out, you know exactly what you need to put in there. You don't have to decipher, okay, this was, I put this as beneficial use, but what is it really? So I'll go through each code and talk about what exactly that is. So landfill, self-explanatory, that's landfill. Tire-derived fuel, these are cement kilns, paper mills, steel mills, anyone who's using scrap tires as an alternative fuel source. Scrap tire storage is specifically scrap tire storage sites. We have the P-R destination code for processors or recyclers. And to clarify about recycling, recycling is specifically when a new product is made from scrap tires. So for example, if you remove sidewalls and then use those and then sell those as the base to a traffic cone, that's a new product, a traffic cone base, and those sidewalls were recycled. So if tires are processed into crumb rubber, and then that crumb rubber can be made into another material or another product in the future, that's still just processing. It's not recycling unless at the end of the process, there's an actual product that can be sold. Combination, so anything that's processing or recycling will receive the PR destination code. LRPUT, land reclamation projects using tires. These are typically older mining operations where they've excavated an area and then they're going to fill in that pit that they've created with a mixture of scrap tire pieces and inert fill. They'll restore that back to its approximate natural grade. And we have CR for crumb rubber. That's a specific type of processing that will process tires down to a grade, a small enough piece to be categorized as crumb rubber. And all of the destination codes that I've just gone over, maybe with the exception of recycling, these businesses are going to be advertising themselves as a crumb rubber producer, as a tire drive fuel user, as a storage site, as a landfill, as a LRPUT. So it should be pretty clear that that's where they're going. But beneficial use projects, the BU destination code is the most frequently confused or misused. And this is because it's at face value of beneficial use, you may consider tire drive fuel a beneficial use or recycling to be a beneficial use because it's not hurting the environment or it's not going into a landfill. But the definition of beneficial use is an activity or a project that is not governed by Texas laws or TCEQ rules. So that could be someone using tires to make garden planters for their garden, or a yard art, or maybe a wall, a retaining wall, or something like that. They're using scrap tires in a way that is not governed by Texas laws or TCEQ rules, and it's a specific designation. So we do get a lot of reports where with the BU destination code, when really they mean crumb rubber or tire drive fuel or something like that. So I just wanted to clarify exactly what beneficial use is there. So I put together this Excel sheet to kind of show you what I mean by keeping good records throughout the year. So for transporters, that's what this would look like. You would make 2 tables for each of the sections that you would fill out on the report. So section 4A, scrap tire collection, you're going to fill it out, just basically the same exact information as what is being requested on the annual report form. So make your columns, the same number of columns, the same headings. That's really the easiest way to do it. Then throughout the year, when you get your manifests back to the office, your admin staff can add in the information for that manifested load of tires. So you can add a row each time you get a new manifest back to the office. So straight from the manifest, the generator is going to give this information to you on the manifest. You put in the name and address of the generator, the county of the generator, their registration number, and the number of tires that were picked up. So you just keep adding a row for every manifest you get back, and then you can very easily get the total. And this is that column totals row that I was talking about. If you keep your records like this and you can submit to us your Excel sheets, This is the only thing that you'll need to fill out on your annual activity report. There's absolutely nothing wrong with filling out the report form with all of this information. Just wanted to point out that that's what we were talking about when we were referencing that column totals row. So once you have all your rows added in with all your information for the calendar year, you can just hit Alt equals and it will automatically total the entire column for you. Save you some time with the calculator that way. Then you move on to section 4B. This is where scrap tires were delivered to and their destination type. And this is where those destination codes come into play. So again, straight from your manifest, you'll take the name and address of the end-use facility, the county, the registration number that they provided to you, and then you'll fill in the destination code. We'll say this one was a landfill. You took 4,615 tires to this landfill. You, on another day, took 62 truck tires to a processor. And on another day, you ended up taking 3 off-the-road tires to a storage site. And at one point, you picked up 21 tons of tire pieces, which you were able to deliver to a tire drive fuel user. So these numbers here should match the numbers here. We have load by load here, or manifest form by manifest form that you get back, and then the totals here. For scrap tire facilities and scrap tire storage sites, there are 3 sections, so I do recommend 3 tables, and there are a few different scenarios to consider. So again, the information should come straight from your manifest, and you'll go by the date. On January 1st, you received 100 scrap tires. Just add that in. February 7th, you received 1,000 whole passenger tires. Then on February 15th, you received 2 tons of tire pieces, etc. You've got your totals here ready to go to just put them right into that section 5 on the report form. Section 6 is only filled out if tires were used at the facility. So if you are a tire drive fuel user, then you might put all of these tires were used at your facility numbers in here, and your section 7 would be blank. If you use tires, like maybe you used 53 truck tires as a beneficial use at your facility, maybe a barrier or whatever it is, whatever project that's not governed by Texas laws or TCEQ rules, you'd put that here, and then the remaining tires you would put in section 7 at the destination, or for the destination and end use facilities. So here's an example of that. You've got your scrap tire storage site name, your county, registration number. Again, they provide all that information on the manifest. You're using the correct destination code of S for storage. And then this is this column here, the month of each delivery. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. I think that this is the easiest way. You type in, okay, so in January, June, and December, you went to this storage site. And this is a silly number. You wouldn't have taken only 100 tires to a storage site over 3 months, but for example, then you took tires to this Lurput, 1,000 passenger tires, 53 truck tires in January, February, March, April, May, June. You can add a row, so you could say in January we went to the storage site, in February we went to the storage site, in etc. But I think it's easiest to just give us the number of the month. Then again, your numbers should match here, so we want to know what exactly happened to all these tires you received. So if you used any of them, it would be the numbers in section 5 minus the numbers in section 6 should end up equaling the numbers in section 7. And if you keep your records in this way, again, you can just grab the totals from your spreadsheet and only fill in that section when it comes to filling in the report form. Let's look at the actual reports and see what it looks like to actually fill them in. Okay. So there are some really good instructions at the top of the form. I recommend you do read that before you begin. And so we start with section 1A for transporter information.
Melissa, can you zoom in some?
Yes, yes, of course. Sorry, y'all.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. So section 1A is for the transporter information. So this is your business information. If you're not sure about your registration numbers, you can look them up at this link here, or just email us, call us, let us know. We can look it up for you if you have any trouble with that. Section 1B will be for the contact information you'd like to use for this report form. So whoever you want us to contact if we have questions about your form. Section 2 is operating status. So if you did transport tires in the past year, you would check active. If you did not, you would check inactive. And then if you were inactive for the previous year, let us know if you want to keep your registration by checking the first box, or let us know that you intend to submit a tire registration status update form to cancel your registration. We do need both this box checked and the tire registration status update form to cancel it. Okay, so section 3, certification. We need to have a signature and your printed name, title, and date here to confirm that, to your knowledge and understanding, the report is complete and accurate. And then we get to section 4A. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so this is where you're filling in information about your scrap tire activities. So this is the real important bit. So I'll read the instructions. It says, provide the following information for each source of scrap tires and tire shreds or pieces collected. You may provide a spreadsheet with supplemental information. However, the column totals must be completed. Complete the weight portion of section 4A only if you also transported scrap tire shreds or pieces. Do not convert whole tires to tire shreds and pieces. If you do, that's going to result in us double counting the tires. It just leads to bad data. So only report tire pieces, this column here, the weight of tire shreds and pieces in tons if you actually transported them in pieces. So like we were saying, it all is filled out for you by the generator on the manifest. You would say, if you're not only filling out the column totals, if your form here, this is what that would look like. You would enter in the generator's name, an address, their county, their registration number, making that up there, and then the number of tires that you transported. You can put in the total number of tires that you transported for this generator for the year. Let's say it was 10,000. And let's say you also transported tire pieces from another generator, some generators also have a scrap tire facility registration, and they can process their own scrap tires. So let's say you did that as well. And so that's where you would put the number of tons of tire pieces that you transported for them. So let's say you got 5 tons of tire pieces from this other generator. So then you would fill in the column totals row down at the bottom. You'll put in all of the locations where you picked up tires from, all of their information and the number of tires, either passenger, truck, or off the road, or tire pieces. You'll fill that in here at the bottom. So for example, we have 10,000 passenger tires transported and 5 tons of tire pieces transported. We'll put zeros here. Okay, so this is the most important row on all of the forms. Moving on to section 4B. This is for scrap tire delivery and destination type information. So it's where you delivered the tires to. So provide the destination information for each delivery or disposal of scrap tires and tire pieces or shreds. You spreadsheet with supplemental information. However, the column totals must be completed. Complete the weight portion of section 4B only if you transported scrap tire shreds or pieces. Do not convert whole tires reported to tire shreds or pieces. Use the destination and end-use facility codes in the table below. So we went through these on the last slide. And again, converting whole tires that were transported into tire pieces will lead to them being double counted. So we won't do that. So the most common thing we see is that tires were taken to a landfill. So let's do that. Landfill name and address straight from your manifest or from your records. The county for the landfill. And landfills may or may not have a TCEQ registration number. They may have a municipal solid waste permit number, and you can provide either of those numbers to us. So I'll leave that blank there. And this is a landfill, so we'll put L there for the destination code. And you took, let's say we took all 10,000 passenger tires to this landfill. And then we have the 5 tons of tire pieces that we picked up from another generator. Then let's say we were able to deliver those tire pieces to a tire-derived fuel user. So we'll say PDF user name and address here, their county, their registration number, and their destination code, which would be TDF. And you'll just put 5 here. And here we go. 10,000 total and 5 tons of tire pieces total. And that's all there is to it. You just want to make sure that all of the tires that you picked up are accounted for in section 4B. So we know where all the tires that you picked up, where they were delivered to. You want to give us the name of the destination and their address and any registration numbers that they have, and then be sure that you're using only these acceptable destination codes. And if you're unsure which destination code to use, just let us know. We can help you figure that out. That's no worries at all. Okay, so this report form is for our scrap tire facilities and scrap tire storage sites. Again, lots of really good information at the top of the form. I recommend reading that before you begin filling it out. So similarly, section 1A is the business information. And again, we have this link here where you can look up your registration numbers, but definitely let us know if you have any trouble with that. We can look it up for you as well. 1B is, again, the contact information you'd like us to use if we have questions about this report. And section 2 is the operating status. So let us know if you were active or inactive during the reporting period during 2021. And again, we need your signature, name, date to confirm that, to your knowledge and understanding, the report is complete and accurate. So section 4 is unique for this form. And it's really important as well. So give us as much information about your facility operations as possible. It says, please describe the facility's operations and, if applicable, identify products manufactured utilizing scrap tires. You may provide supplemental information and submit it with this form if needed. So if you're producing different products out of the tires, we want to know what types of products, we want to know who you're selling them to. We want to know the type of processing that you're doing, just as much information about the operations during that year that you can provide to us. We really appreciate any detailed responses that we receive. It helps us also to answer any questions we might have. If we're looking at the data and we're like, we're not sure if that is the right destination code, we can come up here to section 4 and determine if we need to reach out to you or if the question's answered right there. So section 5 is where you start putting the information in. This is whole tires and tire shreds and pieces received. So provide the number of whole used or scrap tires by tire type and the sum of the whole used or scrap tires received at the facility during the reporting period. So let's say, for example, this facility received 10,000 passenger tires, 50 truck tires, and 15 off-the-road tires. So here we're going to total them. You would get 10,065 tires. You don't convert this number to tire shreds or pieces. This says provide the weight in tons of tire pieces or tire shreds and pieces received at the facility during the reporting period. Complete this portion of section 4 only if you also received scrap tire shreds or pieces. Do not convert whole tires reported to tire shreds or pieces, because again, that's going to be double reporting. So let's say they also received 20 tons of tire shreds and pieces. So this facility has received 10,065 whole tires and 20 tons of tire shreds and pieces. So section 6. Tires and tire shreds and pieces that were managed or used at the facility. Provide information on the number of whole tires and the total weight of tire shreds and pieces managed or used at the facility. Identify each applicable end use. Again, it's telling you don't convert. It's really important that you don't convert whole tires to tire shreds. So this section is intended for facilities that are using some of these tires or all of the tires at their facility. So if you're a crumb rubber producer and everything that you received was turned into crumb rubber and then sold as crumb rubber, you would put in the numbers from section 5 right here. If you're a tire-derived fuel user and you received all of those tires and all of them were able to be used as tire-derived fuel, this is where you'll put that information right here. And then if all of the tires were used at your facility, you would leave section 7 blank. Section 6 is where you would stop. So let's say this facility, just to give a more complicated example, let's say that they used the 50 truck tires and the 15 whole off-the-road tires as maybe a barrier. That would be considered a beneficial use. So those tires stayed at the facility. So they had 50 whole truck tires and what did we say, 15 off-the-road tires that were used as a beneficial use as barriers for their facility. So these guys stayed at the facility that is reporting. We'll fill in the column totals row again. That's super important. Okay. And move on to section 7. Okay. So I'll read the instructions again. Provide information on the number of whole tires and the total weight of tire shreds and pieces that were removed from your facility. That's the important part. And delivered to a destination or end-use facility. You may provide a spreadsheet with supplemental information, but please fill out the column totals. Only fill in the last column over here, the total weight of tire shreds and pieces delivered. Those were delivered in tire pieces. Do not convert whole tires to tire pieces. Again, that will be double reporting. We have our handy dandy destination code table here for your reference. Okay, so we have 10,000 passenger tires and 20 tons of tire pieces to account for. One common scenario is that a scrap tire processor received 10,000 whole tires and processed them and delivered all of the tires and tire pieces to a destination. So if that was the case, we would need to convert, because you would then be delivering your tires as tire pieces. So we had 10,000 passenger tires that we shredded. So we'll multiply by 20 because that's the standard for now. And then divide by 2,000. And we'll get the number of tons. So we have 10,000. Multiply by 20 to get the number of pounds, and then divide by 2,000 for the tons. So we have 100 tons of tire pieces that we received whole. We shredded them. Now there are 100 tons of tire pieces. Let's say that we took them to the landfill. Use this information straight from the manifest or from your records you are keeping. We'll add their county. They may or may not have a registration number as a landfill. Everyone else should have a registration number. We're using L. And we took tires to this landfill every single month. So we'll say every month. And you could, like we had said before, you can add a row for each month if you'd rather this just say January and the next one say February. That's fine too. I just think that this is the easiest to convey that information. So we delivered them in pieces. So that's the reason we converted, because we actually did shred them. So that would be 100 tons of tire pieces. We still have that original 20 tons of tire pieces that we received, but let's say those were in, those tire pieces that we received were shredded down to a grade that could be used as by a tire drive fuel user. So we'll do that again. Name and address. Their registration number. Their destination code. And we just went there 2 months out of the year in February and March. And we had 20 tons that went there. So we have our column totals row, which is super important to fill out. 120 tons of tire pieces were delivered to a landfill and to this tire drive fuel user. So that is that on how to fill that out. There is a bunch of different scenarios, you know, all of these different destination codes. You may use different quantities of tires at your facility that you would fill out in section 6. But again, section 5 minus section 6 should equal section 7 to account for all of the tires that you received.
Melissa, before you
Yes.
close that, can you show everyone how to add a row if they decide that they want to put in each month?
Yes,
Or
sorry, I meant to do that.
Yes. No
So
problem.
it is super easy. If you hover your mouse over this little junction here, where you want to go, there's a little plus sign that comes up. So you can click that plus sign as many times as you need, and it will keep adding rows. You can also right click inside the row, and there's a little insert here, and you can insert rows above or below there. So there's a couple different ways you can insert. I think you could also go to the insert tab, but that's a lot more complicated. The easiest way is to just hover here with your mouse and press that plus button. Okay, so quick here, I can show you where you find the forms. So again, you can find our webpage from the main TCEQ website or by typing TCEQ Scrap Tire Program to Google or whatever search engine you like. And we're going to be the first link that comes up. The navigation pane over here has the annual reporting link. So if you click that, it will bring you here. About a quarter of the way down the page, or maybe halfway down the page, under the report forms heading, you'll find the link to download the Word version of the form for transporters. And then the second one is for facilities and scrap tire storage sites. Lots of great information here. A lot of the information I just told you is on this website as well. More frequently asked questions, and then also the report summary that we put together based on all of the reports that you all submit. You can find those for each year here as well. So these are some resources, contact information for us, the direct link to our website. General questions can go to tires@tceq.gov. Anything about the annual report can go to Tire RPTS for tire reports. And then if you haven't already, we do encourage you to join our listserv by emailing join-tires@listserv.tceq.texas.gov. We're going to send out information about any future workshops or guidance documents, anything that we provide. We're going to send it out there. We'll also send out the Scrap Tire Manifest guidance document through there as well that our small business and local government assistance section is putting together. So lots of good information is coming from that listserv, and I definitely recommend that you join if you haven't already. Megan, do we have questions?
Yes, we have a couple. One question is, can people reuse the previous year's forms, or do they need to go download the new version from our website each year?
You do need to get the new version each year. It's going to be basically the same information, but it has the new year, new dates. And if anything did change, you want to be using the most updated form. And if you have trouble finding it, please reach out to us because I'm happy to send it to you directly.
Okay, great. Another question is, how should or does a transporter or storage site need to report if tires were pulled for resale?
So that information is reported on the manifest in the adjustment box, and we don't have a destination code for resale. So those tires are not considered scrap tires. Those are good used tires. So those tires would not be reported on the annual activity report.
Okay, that makes sense. And we do have another question, and I believe this is for section 6 on the scrap tire facility or combined report. And the question is, can you report whole tires in tons? You may have answered this question, but this is from a crumb rubber manufacturer. So if they receive in box 5, if they have the whole tires reported, and then in box 6, would they put that in tons or would they leave those as whole tires? And Amanda, let me know if I misunderstood your question. I can also unmute you and you can ask.
So if you use them as tire pieces, then you could report that in tons. If you use them whole, then report them whole. But we do want to know if you received them as whole or entire pieces. So if you're keeping track of the number of tires that you receive only by the weight, then I would recommend going ahead and converting that using the standard of 20 pounds per passenger tire to fill in section 5. Is that right, Megan?
I believe so. Amanda, did that answer your question?
And, at the very least, just let us know that you received them whole. So don't fill out that information in this last section here. Tire shreds and pieces received. You would still fill that information out here. So if you can't do the conversion and you have to report to us by weight, then say, however, 150 tons of whole tires.
Okay.
We do recommend, or we do prefer that we have the number of whole tires.
Okay.
We will we'll do the conversion when we put our data in. Either way.
Yeah, and our annual report is reported in passenger tire equivalents. So that's why we ask for as much of this data. And if you receive it in whole tires, that we get the number of whole tires you received.
Right.
Any other questions? Feel free to type those in the chat. Give it a minute or two in case people are typing. When are the annual reports due?
They're due on March 1st every year. So we send out a letter reminding you in January and then a reminder in February, but every year it's due by March 1st.
Are there any consequences if a transporter or facility or storage site does not send in an annual report?
So registrations may be suspended or revoked if you don't report. It's not a guarantee that that would happen to you, but especially if an investigator comes out and there's an issue at your site or your business, not having reported is going to cause some problems.
Great, thank you. We do have a question. So just for clarity, as a processor that does not use tires for the facility, section 5 does not need to be completed.
No. So this is section 5 is asking.
Sorry, section 6.
Yes. Okay. I thought so. Yeah. If you didn't use any of these tires at your facility, then section 6 would be blank. And so the tires from 5, all of them would end up in 7. But if you're a crumb rubber producer, then all of the tires from section 5, if you made crumb rubber from all of the tires that you received, then you would put the total here in section 6. This is tires that were used at your facility, and section 7 is tires that were removed from the facility. So if you made crumb rubber and the crumb rubber was sold, that doesn't go in section 7. You just report the crumb rubber that was produced at your facility in section 6.
All right. Any other questions? Feel free to type them in the chat. Oh, one thing I did want to mention is for landfills, while they may not have a tire registration number, they do have a TCEQ permit number. So be sure to put the permit number in that section where it asks for registration or um, other authorization.
Yes, the other authorization that's what it's talking about. You may have a TCEQ municipal solid waste permit number there. So it's usually like 4 or 5 letters or 4 or 5 numbers instead of the 6-number format that we have.
Okay, it does not look like we're getting any more questions. Melissa and I will stay on for just a couple of more minutes, but that completes our webinar today on how to fill out your annual activity report forms and submit them to the TCEQ. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it. Feel free to get the word out if you have anyone in your area that you know has a registration and maybe puts off submitting a form. Remind them that they have to get it in, and now you can also train them, or we'll likely have this recording available online. So thank you all so much for attending, and thank you, Melissa, for walking everyone through.
Absolutely. My pleasure.